Hello, everyone, and welcome to Office Hours. It must be Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific because we're here, we're broadcasting, and we're here to answer your questions. Now, got to answer a couple of questions first. Jeff, where in the world are you? Today, I happen to be in Wisconsin. I am at an event called That Conference. Yes, That Conference. And it's a 4-day event. Yesterday was all workshops, and today, tomorrow, and Thursday are all sessions. I'll be giving a talk a little later today. Some of you may have seen it. It's called The Future of People. I'm going to be talking about kind of the vision and the future of ambient computing and Alexa and stuff like that. But I have some awesome guests with me today. I have Helen and Pratibha and Sanjeev. They are on my team as on our product marketing team. And they're here to talk to us about Alexa Live and some of the things that came out last week. So I'm hoping all of you had an opportunity to watch Alexa Live and catch up on some of the great announcements that were made. But I specifically invited them here because I want to ask them a few questions and do a little bit of a deep dive on some of the things that they were focused on as part of that. So thank you all for being here.
Hey, sure.
Good to be here.
All right, so I'd like to ask this first question round robin. I'll let you each take your turn, and then I'm going to kind of dig into each of you as we go. So the opening question, though, is what was your favorite announcement from Alexa Live 2020? And Sanjeev, I'll let you go first.
Sure, Jeff. It's difficult to choose one, so I'm going to choose two. My first favorite feature is the Alexa Routines Kit. It's available in developer preview in all English locales. The great thing about this feature is that it directly impacts skill engagement and retention. So it's an opportunity for developers to embed their skill as part of pre-built routines that can be surfaced to their customers. So we've seen that customers who use a skill as part of a routine are 7 times more engaged and are likely to be 8 times greater retention when compared to customers who use a skill outside of a routine. So it definitely helps developers to improve the engagement and retention of their skill. And for customers, it's great because they don't have to create a routine from scratch. Pre-built routines are already offered to them. All they have to just do is just say yes or provide a voice consent, and the skill can become a part of their daily routine. So that's number one, getting directly at skill engagement and retention. The next one is the Alexa Shopping Kit. It gets at monetization. The good thing about the shopping kit is that developers can embed a shopping experience while a customer is interacting with their skill. There are lots of components within the Alexa shopping kit, but the two ones that are generally available are add to cart and buy shopping actions. So a developer can sell a physical product, surface a physical product within their skill, and the customer can either buy that product then and there, or add to their cart to buy it later. So once again, it's an additional opportunity for developers to add value to their customers. Customers need not go out of their skill, think about what they need to buy and buy it separately. So they can buy products within the skill itself. And the other thing is, the cool thing about the Alexa shopping kit is it also has the Amazon Associates on Alexa program embedded. So eligible referrals from the skill, developers can earn up to a 10% commission on
Nice.
eligible purchases from that skill. That feature is still in dev preview, but we are hoping to make that available to all developers soon. So two features: Alexa routines kit for discoverability, engagement, and retention. Alexa shopping kit for monetization.
Excellent. That feels a little bit like cheating, but those are two good ones, so I'll let it fly this time. How about you, Helen? Do you have anything that stands out as something you're excited about announcing?
I guess my personal favorite is probably the Alexa Learning Lab, just because it's near and dear to my roots. I used to work on the developer support team, and seeing a product come out that is so learning oriented is very exciting to me.
Awesome. So Alexa Learning Lab for you. Very cool. And how about you, Pratibha?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Jeff, given that, this team is responsible for product marketing of all the developer tools and product features. It's kind of, you're asking me to choose my favorite baby, which is always a tough one. But if I had to pick one, I would go with the announcement that we made around the Skill Developer Accelerator program. It isn't really a feature, but I think it packs a punch in terms of the benefits and the incentives that we are planning to roll out in the future, and some of which is available here and now today. I think that's super exciting as a skill developer that addresses some of the needs and wants. So I would go for the STAP, as we call it for short, the STAP program.
Yes, STAP will certainly be the way that I think most people refer to it. That's a mouthful. Skill Developer Accelerator Program.
Yep, that's a punch, right? So we need a long, heavyweight name.
It is. Okay, so I want to take a quick second because there's a bunch of conversation and things happening in the chat, and so I just want to make sure I address a couple of the questions that folks have. There was one that came in from K-Man Studios on YouTube. He asked us a couple of weeks ago about what it would take to build basically a Rubik's Cube on Alexa. And while I don't have all the answers for him, I think what he really needs is the fundamental coding behind the scenes to be able to build something like that. And so his name is Kiefer. My recommendation, I just went and did a search for if I create a Rubik's Cube game, there's actually a really great tutorial on building one in Unity. And the real piece to this, and this is the story I like to tell about Alexa, is that Alexa comes in two pieces, almost like every other development platform. You have a front end and you have a back end. And you need that back end logic. What does Rubik's Cube look like? How do I represent that in code and data? That needs to exist no matter what. And I think solving that problem is the more important piece. And then when you're building an Alexa skill, if you want to render a Rubik's Cube and show the sides of a Rubik's Cube as you go, that then just is a representation of the data in another way, right? You're building some visuals to do that. So, K-Man, that would be my recommendation there. Also, we have a bunch of folks here, regulars, Habuma and Bondad and Alan Furstenberg, Prisoner 4044. Jawwork is here. We've got Gavin Watson is visiting the States from the UK, and he says it's kind of weird to watch this at 9 a.m. instead of 5 p.m. Like normal. And Karthik is here. If you guys don't know Karthik Raghupathi, he joined us as an evangelist on the Indian Alexa team and has recently joined the APL team here in Seattle. And so I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing over there. But he asked if people at that conference refer to it as this conference while they're here. And I think a few people actually do, but I don't think that that's common. Let's see. Data-driven Skills says that Alexa Shopping Kit sounds very cool. And then we have a couple of things coming in here. So related to the routines kit, I know you mentioned that earlier, Sanjeev. Alan has a question. How dynamic are the routines? And if you don't know this, that's okay. I think as we get deeper into the tech, we'll have a better capability of answering this. But I'm just curious to know if you know any of this. Do you know, are the phrases for those routines, are those pre-created? Are the routines themselves pre-created, and can a developer kind of configure them or change them on the fly?
I can actually get back to you on that, Jeff. Okay. I want to be certain that I'm answering the question correctly.
Sure. No problem at all. So I'm happy to move on some of these. I just want to make sure that if people have questions, that we do our best to answer. Another good one for you related to the routines kit is it looks like the skills that are listed, NPR, NDEL, Sleepjar, we say that they use the routines kit, but that Frank on YouTube says that he hasn't been able to see how it's implemented yet. Are there versions of the skills using routines kit already live? And are there any skills that are live that they can test? Like they want to play with that feature and see how it's done.
I think all of these partners were in the private beta for the Alexa Routines Kit, and they should be live. I mean, I personally have been rendered the pre-built routine for NPR. I listen to NPR regularly, and an additional partner here would be Jaguar Land Rover as well. But I can check with the team to see if any of these partners are undergoing some change that's happening that I might not be aware of. But I know for sure that these partners are all live with the kit, and I personally have been rendered the pre-built routine when I was using NPR.
Okay, cool. Well, while we're on routines kit, let me ask you a couple of questions about that. So one, I always like to check this box. Is it available to all developers?
It's available to. I mean, it's in developer preview. So obviously we are asking folks to express interest through an interest form, and the product team will evaluate based on the inputs and reach out to the developers that they can let into the preview. The broad criteria is that the skill needs to be live and published, and it needs to be non-child directed and a non-HIPAA skill or a non-healthcare skill.
Okay.
It's the developer preview is running in all English speaking locales.
Okay. So what I heard there is, just to summarize, it is in developer preview, which means there is a form that you need to fill out. Is there a place they can find a link to that form if they're interested?
I can paste that link here.
Well, universally though, I think is it the Alexa Live recap blog post that would have links to all of these?
That is correct. It should have it.
Okay, let me see if we can track down that link also, and we'll add that to the chat. So if people haven't seen that blog post, they can find that there. Okay, so that's perfect. So it's only available in English-speaking locales, but you have to fill out the developer preview interest form first. And because it's developer preview, the product team is limiting the number of developers that can use it today, and they will select people from people that have filled out that form.
That is correct. Okay,
good to know. And let's see if I have anything else specifically around routines kit. I don't think I do. At least nothing that's outstanding, but we may see some more questions as we go through this. But let's, because I'm talking to you, Sanjeev, the other topic that you brought up, since you picked two favorites, was the shopping kit. I know that you talked about a few things in kind of our early introduction. You talked about not only being able to sell products within your skill, but then you also mentioned the Amazon Associates program, which is still in preview. So can you give us just a really quick rundown on what aspects of the Alexa Shopping Kit are available today?
Right. So within, obviously, the Alexa Shopping Kit is nothing but a consolidated suite of shopping related features. Of all the features that are part of the Alexa Shopping Kit are going to become part of the Alexa Shopping Kit. The two that are generally available today in all Alexa locales are two shopping actions: add to cart and buy. So essentially, a developer can surface a physical product within their skill and provide customers with an option to either buy their product immediately or let them add to their Amazon cart so that they can buy it later. So those are the only two features within the Alexa Shopping Kit that are generally available today. But there are other aspects, like you mentioned, the Amazon Associates on Alexa feature that are in developer preview. So we're soliciting feedback from developers, and we hope to make it available to all developers very soon.
Okay, and when you said generally available, so GA, is that so this shopping kit is available globally?
The two Alexa shopping actions, add to cart and buy, are available in all Alexa locales. Yes,
that is wonderful news, and I'm sure our friends in Europe and India and other places will appreciate that. That's excellent. The other thing that I'd like to know, because I had heard some rumblings about this, but I don't have the specifics. Are there restrictions on the kinds of products that you can sell through a skill?
There are, but for the most part, most of the products that are sold on Amazon should be fair game for Alexa shopping actions. But there are some exceptions. Obviously, you cannot. Groceries is not included. Alcohol or any other restricted items are not included. I can actually paste the tech talks for the Alexa shopping actions here in the chat, and if you scroll down to the end, it'll give you a list of products that are actually excluded from Alexa shopping actions.
Got it.
That's a small list, but most of the items that are sold on Amazon are fair game.
Okay, and then let's see. Once you've built a skill and you have a product that maybe you've configured your skill to sell, is it easy to change that? Yep. If I wanted to offer a different product instead?
Absolutely. Yeah. The developer has full control over what physical product he or she wants to surface within the skill. And within excluding the ones that are listed there, and where they want to surface it within the skill, and they can always make changes. In fact, they have access to analytics on the developer console that lets them know which products are doing well, how many consumers are responding to specific actions for specific products, so they can actually make a determination on the back end if something that they're surfacing is actually working or not, and if they want to switch up the product that they're showing, they can do that.
Got it. And then I know you also spent some time on promoted skills, which is something else that we talked about at Alexa Live. Can you talk a little bit about what promoted skills is and then when it'll be available?
Sure. Promoted skills was a pre-announced at Alexa Live, so we are still working on that specific feature. It directly gets at discoverability of a skill, right? Promoted skills is nothing but it's the equivalent of a self-serve ad on, at least to start with, Echo Show home screens. So essentially, third-party developers can create an ad campaign for their skills to be promoted on Echo Show home screens, hopefully by the end of this year. So it's currently a pre-announce. We'll probably be going into dev preview within the next couple of months, and then hopefully a GA either by the end of this year or early part of next year.
Very cool. Well, thank you. That was awesome. So we got to run through shopping actions and talk about Routines Kit, and then a little bit about promoted skills as well. The last thing that I wanted to chat with you about, well, I mean, I'm sure we'll have other stuff, but was there was a mention of Alexa Skill Deals. Can you talk a little bit about that also?
Sure. Alexa Skill Deals, what it allows the developer to do is they can provide discounts on in-skill purchases within their skill and on their own paid skills. So if their skill is paid skill, if consumers need to pay to access their skill, they can provide a limited time discount, and they can do that on digital products that they surface within their skill through in-skill purchases. So that's generally available in the US as of now.
Awesome. Thank you. That was excellent. All right. I think everybody sees the grid the same way, so I'm going to move down to Pratibha. We're going to move around, and we'll end with Helen here. But Pratibha, you are here to talk about the thing that I announced during the keynote. Like, this was my favorite thing about Alexa Live, and so I'd love for you to share a little more about SDAP, the Skill Developer Accelerator Program. When is it starting? When should people start seeing things? When does the whole thing launch? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Jeff, for the opportunity to be here and for announcing Skill Developer Accelerator Program, or SDAP, during the keynote of Alexa Live. So I'll talk a little bit about what it is, because I know you covered it in the keynote, but I'll give a little bit more color. So the SDAP program, as we call it for short, is an incentives-based program. So we are incentivizing developers who are building these high-quality, engaging skills on Alexa, which is essentially a precursor to having, great engagement or having a successful skill. So we're really incentivizing the step one, which is, you need to build a high-quality skill to have the engagement and monetization down the road. So it is an incentives program, giving you incentives for building high-quality skills. That's one part of the program. The other aspect of this program is the increased revenue share announcement that we made, and I'm super happy and excited to share that it is available today. So if you're a developer that is making less than $1 million in terms of your earnings from paid skills, subscriptions, then you're eligible for the revised revenue share, which was previously, the split was 70-30, but now we've improved it to 80-20. So as a developer, you walk away with 80% of the earnings of your skill. So that is a big step forward. We announced it as part of SDAP, available today. The other piece that we added to the improved revenue share was the additional 10% value back incentive. So on top of the 80-20 revenue share, you also walk away with an additional 10% of this incentive, which is paid out in cash in this year, And early next year, it will be in the form of promotional credits that you could use to promote your skill. So again, the second big broad bucket of the Skill Developer Accelerator program is the increased revenue share, which I'm very pleased to share that it's available today. So as a developer, starting this month, we are computing those incentives, and you will get the payout in the next month. On the prior aspect, which is the quality-based incentive, I don't mean to steal this thunder from Helen, but at the core of that incentive is this product which we actually announced at Alexa Live called the Skill Quality Coach, which is, think of it as your guide that's going to guide you every step of the way to build a high quality skill. And Helen, maybe I can pass it over to Helen, Jeff, to speak a little bit more about that product, because she was very closely involved in the breakout as well. And, maybe we can do a back and forth to break the monotony as well, if it's okay with you, Jeff.
That'd be great. I love it.
Yeah. Take it away, Helen. You want to speak a little bit about SQC, which, as I said, is a core part of the SDAP quality incentive.
Yeah. I mean, it's at its core, the goal of this product is to help developers make their skills better for their customers. So it's the first quantified measure of a skills quality, looking at thousands of successful skills across the skills store. And the skills score that's associated with the skill coach is from 1 to 5. And as you put these recommendations into your skills that the skill quality coach is giving you, you have a chance at increasing your score. And by itself, skill quality coach is already available in the US, but for SDAP in particular, there's another element that ties into that. So I'll hand it back to you, Prasva.
Yeah, so I'm actually very excited that the SQC, the Skill Quality Coach, is available today in the US. So as a developer, you can go into the developer console, check out the analytics tab, and you will see a numeric score on a scale of 1 to 5, as Helen shared, assigned to each of your published skills. And corresponding to that, you will also have a set of recommendations that will tell you what are some improvements that you can make to this to your skill to bump up your score. So, highly encourage everybody, at least in the US, go check out and give us feedback. We're really eager to learn because this informs the SDAP quality incentives piece. So if you have a score, a higher score, we will be giving incentives corresponding to that high score. Now, to your question, Jeff, around when is it available? We're actually trialing and testing the program with a smaller cohort of developers. The engine is being tested, and we're going to take that feedback and improve our mechanism, our program framework. But you'll hear more in the coming months of the exact availability date of the program. So at this point, that's all I can say, that the team is hard at work, taking in feedback through a smaller test group. But we will continue to improve and make announcement pretty soon about the launch in the coming months. So that's SDAP. Quality, a big pillar, and updated revenue share is the second big pillar. And there's more to come. Like, this is the V1 scope of the program. We're going to take in feedback, and we're going to expand and make it bigger and better for everybody.
Great. Thank you. That was an excellent bit of coverage there. I had a couple of questions come in that I wanted to share with you. One, and this is for all of you, if you just have some insights into this, and we may not know the answer, and that's okay too. But Dipanshu Jain on Twitch said, Jeff, is there any status for ISPs for the Indian locale? It was announced at Alexa Live 2021, and we still haven't heard anything. Do we have any updates on that?
Our hope is that we can, within the next quarter or sooner, is our expectation for ISP in India.
Got it. Okay, so just to be clear with everybody, our hope is that it's within the quarter, but I don't want anyone to build their business's timeline around that. Timelines always shift. Anyone that's ever built software understands that things can move. So thank you, Sanjeev, for the update, but I just want everybody to be cautious on that. Don't come back to me on October 1st and be like, but you said, no, we want to make sure that we get this right. And so that sometimes that takes time. Okay, so let's see if there was one other thing in here that I want to make sure that I cover off on, which was, where is it? Someone was asking if there's still hardware kits available so we can build our own Alexa-enabled device. I do believe that some of the hardware devices that we made available, these are probably 2.5 years ago. I believe those are still for sale on Amazon, and I'm forgetting the name of them now. But is the oh man, I have one at home and I'm forgetting the name of it. But yes, there is a. Let me see if I can find it on Amazon. We'll just look that up here quickly. Alexa Air Kit, something like that. Well, I'm not finding it as quickly as I'd like. Maybe if I look in my previous orders. I'm so disappointed that I can't remember what this was called. Oh, the ACK, the Alexa Connect Kit. So as I look on Amazon, it looks like that is currently unavailable. Yeah. But that being said, I've actually written a really nice tutorial, and there are a number of them out there, where people have used just a Raspberry Pi. And with just a Raspberry Pi and a cheap USB microphone, we're talking like a $6 USB microphone, you can build your own hardware using just a Raspberry Pi. And so I would search Alexa Raspberry Pi. You'll find it very quickly. If you don't find mine, you'll find somebody else's, but there's a lot of excellent ones out there. And I would recommend taking a look at that. Okay. There was another thing related to skill quality coach. Okay. So Don's question is the skill quality coach active for skills in development or only for skills that have passed certification or are in production?
Yeah, it's for skills that are live. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you've got a skill that's a development version of a live skill, then it will have a score, but it's reflecting that live experience that your customers are interacting with.
Perfect. And then will the skill quality coach be available for developers based in India?
Stay tuned to that homepage. We'll be announcing our next phases as they're happening.
But as of right now, no. But eventually,
right.
As with, like, I get questions about like new languages and things. Eventually, our plan is to have support of all features in all languages and all locales. But those things take time. So not yet, but yes, the plan is certainly at some point to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I thought I saw one more in here that was. Oh, what sort of traffic is required to receive a score from the skill coach? Do I have to have a number of active users like some of our other features require?
Yeah, no. As soon as your skill is live, you should be getting a score. You might get recommendations that would be targeting improving your skills traffic, but it's not an inherent requirement to get a score.
Got it. Okay. Well, we've kind of dug in a little bit on skill quality score. So if it's okay, Pratibha, I'll come back to you. I want to talk to you about Alexa Conversations and APL and some other stuff, but I'd like to focus in on skill quality score, skill quality coach, all that stuff here briefly. So what do you hope developers will get from having the skill quality coach available?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the big challenges of skill development is knowing how to improve your skill and the daunting task of what's next. So we've had Skill Insights launched for a while. Some of you may have noticed that little widget in your dev console. And this is taking that sort of suggestive idea a step further, and there are recommendations that are giving you those next steps, and they tie back to something measurable for you to use. So the takeaway that we're hoping that developers have is a partnership with us to actually move their skills in a positive direction for your own businesses and be more successful as developers.
Very cool. Do we have anything we can share about how the SQS is computed?
Yeah, I mean, we can't share the specifics, but there's a variety of elements that play into it, implicit and explicit feedback signals. that tie back. So your customer ratings and what people are saying about your skill's latency, how often it's getting updated. If it's a content skill, how often that content is being refreshed. Honestly, a lot of it is just kind of what you would think would impact a quality score. So if you apply a little bit of common sense, you'll probably come to a lot of correct conclusions about it.
Right. And without sharing the specifics, though, it feels like it's safe to assume, though, that if I have a really good skill, just a voice-based, voice-only skill, and someone else has a skill that's very similar to mine in traffic and interactions and all those kinds of things, but theirs has APL, it's fair to assume, or at least infer based on what we think, that theirs would be viewed as having a higher quality because it gives a deeper reach, a different interface, a better interaction with customers. Is it fair to assume that if two skills are generally similar in most aspects, that if one has APL, has an APL interface, that it probably will have a higher skill quality score?
I think that's a fair assumption. We see skills with visual elements, like using APL, have generally successful customer experiences, and we do view that product as a more advanced and higher quality feature that you can leverage to make your customer experiences better.
Cool.
If you had a skill that didn't have APL, you'd probably get a recommendation from the skill quality coach to add in multimodal elements, which would improve your score.
I think that makes sense. All right. And then just to make, I know the answer, but I want to make sure that our audience knows. What is the difference when we talk about the skill quality coach versus the skill quality score? How they're related, obviously, but how are they different?
Yeah, the score is a piece of the skill quality coach. It's the quantitative measure of your output. So with the coach as a whole, it's guiding you through this quality adventure, right? So you're getting recommendations. You can upvote or downvote those recommendations if you think that they're good or bad for your skill. Those things are all getting tied back to our product teams to make the coach more effective for you. And that score is for you to see how it's working.
Okay. And then I have one more, because you mentioned that like content updates and things like that obviously have an impact on quality. Dana Voice on Twitch asked, does content being updated include things like content from a CMS? And the reason that they're asking that, and I think I would ask the same question, is that when I build a skill, generally I build a framework. I have my voice interaction model. I have all the pieces that I need, slot values, things like that. And then for the most part, I try to remove the need for me to constantly update my skill by actually pushing new code or new interaction models. Instead, I do it through dynamic entities and through a bunch of databases that manage all of my content for me. My suspicion, and again, I don't know the inner workings of this, my suspicion is that the skill quality coach has no idea if I make a bunch of changes to an external database someplace, even though the skill is dynamically changing its content as we go. Would you say that there's a need for me to just like subtly update the skill by like manually changing my interaction model or just adding a slot value or doing something like that just to trigger the coach? Because I can't imagine it's actually capable of recognizing when new content is added to some external source.
Yeah, I mean, that's a super interesting question. Generally speaking, updating a live skill without going through certification again is not something that we would want to encourage. I
Right.
totally understand the need for it from an automative and effort standpoint. But just to check that box.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good workaround. I can't prove anything, but
Okay. Yeah, no, these
yeah.
are kinds of like, one of the things I found as a developer, and certainly a lot of our audience, is that they hear a cool thing and they're like, okay, face value, that all sounds awesome. But what about this weird thing? Like, what about the thing that
Right.
I do my way? How does that get handled? Because you don't want to have an awesome skill that has all the updates and just constantly get reminded by the coach that like, hey, you never make any updates to your skill. And you're like, but I do, man. I do it all the time.
That would be a great example for one of those recommendations that you would downvote. Like, this isn't helpful to me. I'm already doing this. It's a recommendation that's not, beneficial in any way. Downvote. and those will get integrated into our product as a whole down the road to make it better.
How much? I want to make sure I'm being vigilant with time. We have 25 minutes left. Okay, so I have people have a lot of questions for you, Helen. So this is good. Do you know, is session length a factor in the skill quality score?
I think as it relates to whether or not a customer is having a good experience, it can be.
Okay, so there's a possibility that plays in. Again, none of these things, you have to remember, everybody, that as we think about the skill quality coach and the score that goes with it, there are a large number of factors that play into this. And so just saying like, oh, if I can just keep able to stick around longer, my score will dramatically increase. I think it's going to be a combination of a number of approaches to work on your overall quality of your skill rather than trying to just game like one specific metric or something like that.
Exactly. And you know, we do want to see how you can break it. So do your best. Let us know where there's gaps. If you ever have any feedback for products, we love to hear about it. Just write in through the Contact Us channel. And those usually get filtered up to us. The support team is really, really good about passing feedback directly to product teams.
Awesome. And if you don't know where the Contact Us form is, everybody, it's here on the screen. Alexa.design/contact us will always take you directly to the Contact Us form. You may have to log in if you haven't been authenticated, because it does require you to log in so it can see all of your account and skills and all that kind of stuff. But that's the place you can go anytime you have any kind of issue like that where you're like, hey, Amazon, I need your help. That's the place I recommend. Okay, so I think I had one more thing for you here, which was maybe I don't.
Oh, and just for SQC, I think I would encourage everybody to check out the blog that describes some of this capability in a little bit more detail. So yeah, I think the link is in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think someone else had a comment that they are not seeing a quality score and they think they should be. Contact Us is the perfect place to go.
Okay, perfect. That was going to be my next question. Is my understanding is that when we announced it, we encouraged people to go like, check out your score and see what you've got. So it should be there live, and if it's not, then please reach out to Contact Us and we can help figure that out.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. I don't see anything else about skill. I lied. Another one. Should I be concerned about my skill quality score being high? What all does it a factor? Has this already been covered? So I think the most of the answers that you're looking for, Dana Voice, you can find them in the blog post specifically about this topic, because this all plays together with what Pratibha was talking about earlier with the Skill Developer Accelerator program. The higher your score, the higher the rewards. So the Skill Developer Accelerator program starts offering rewards once your skill quality score is a 3 or higher. And please correct me if I'm wrong, and that you move into higher tiers as your quality score raises. So you can see more rewards, more of the accelerator program's benefits as a result of having a higher score. So, okay, that is perfect. I think we've got that all there. Let me, so while I have you, Helen, let's go through one more thing, which is that there were a few new other cool kind of testing tools that were launched at Alexa Live, like dialogue testing and A/B testing. Can you give me a quick rundown on what those were and kind of what they are?
Yeah. So I'll just start with A/B testing, because that was actually a product that we announced earlier this year and then highlighted in Alexa Live. It's in public beta. It's A/B testing is an industry-wide, it's a marketing term, right? You have two experiences of something and you are presenting those to your customers to see which one performs better. So now you could do that with your skills. So like, let's say you have an ISP product and you want to see what upsell prompt works better. You can have two experiences in your live skill with two different upsell prompts, and you'll get metrics back that tell you how many conversions you get with each one. So if you have a clear differentiated prompt that's doing better, you can just switch to that one. And you don't have to go through any kind of certification or anything. It's just like done. which is really nice. And you have control over how much exposure to your customers you have for both of these. Like maybe you're like really not sure about it, so you only want 5% of your customer base to get this untested experience. You have that control. So A/B testing is really cool.
Cool.
The other one.
Just to talk about that for a second, there's a term we use inside Amazon all the time, which is to dial up a feature. And so this really gives people that ability with A/B testing to be able to say, well, I have an A experience, I have a B experience, and now I want it to be at 50%, or now I want A to be at 80%, so that you're actually kind of spreading the load across each. And so you can slowly introduce new features or new functionality without just bombarding your entire audience with something that you're not sure about yet.
Yep, exactly.
Cool. And then what was your other one? Sorry.
Yeah, no. The other one is new. It's the dialogue testing tool. This one's really great because it's the first automated, I guess, intelligent, for lack of a better word, way to test dialogues that are more complex. You know, we've got the NLU evaluation tool and the skill simulator, but those are really prescriptive. Right. So with the dialogue testing tool, now you can do back and forth interactions with multiple slots that need to be filled. You can have them tested in any order, and then you can copy those test cases across your different locales so that you don't have just an immense amount of manual labor going into every time you need to test some kind of a dialogue for your skill.
Right. Very cool. And this stuff is all available in the web interface, the developer console, as well as the CLI, or do they live in one or the other?
The A/B testing is available in the dev console. And that's for all locales. The dialogue testing tool is only available as an API right now, so you have to use the CLI if you're going to use it, and it's in developer preview, so you do have to sign up for that. And I'll put the link in the chat as well if you want to sign up.
While you're doing that, one of the questions from John Bondad FM, his question was, does the dialogue testing tool support Alexa conversations?
I don't believe so at this point. So since it's just an API, if you're in the CLI, it's the test sets that you're setting up are just based on your code.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. All right, we are moving through time. We have 18 minutes left, and I still have, speaking of Alexa conversations, a few things to drop on Pratibha here. So Helen, thank you for the time. I'm going to shift down to the bottom right box on our screen and ask Pratibha some more questions. So Alexa conversations is something that we introduced a couple of years ago, and has always been something that it has felt a little bit like an experiment. People have tried some things. I know Bondad is a good example. We did a hackathon in, I believe, the fall of 2020 for Alexa conversations, and he built the art museum skill, which was a very, very cool implementation of Alexa conversations. But my question for you is, what's new? Like we announced some things about Alexa conversations. I'd love to know kind of what has changed or what we're introducing now.
Yeah, so essentially in the AC camp, AC for short, Alexa Conversations Camp, Jeff, there was a lot of feedback that we were getting through our listening channels, the developer listening channels, that we need a lot more resources, learning resources, education resources on how do I use AC in my Alexa skill developer journey. So the team has taken that feedback, and that is the core announcement at Alexa Live, where we introduced 2 new tutorials on ACDL, Alexa Conversations Description Language. And the first, it's actually a 2-part tutorial. So the first part goes deep into ACDL, and then it runs through a step-by-step walkthrough of building a flight search skill. So it's a skill that'll tell you the cheapest flight between 2 cities, and it's a detailed walkthrough of how do you build that particular use case, that scenario. And then the part 2 of that same tutorial, the ACDL tutorial, builds on that flight search skill and talks about how do you use these skill components. So skill components was the other new announcement that we made at Alexa Live, and in the breakout session for folks who want to view it now, the breakout session on building rich skill experiences with APL and Alexa Conversations, that is where we actually talked and announced the skill components, 2 of them in developer preview, one of which is the feedback elicitation and the other one is the list navigation. So just a little bit on skill components, for folks to level set. Think of them, as the name suggests, ready to use components, plug and play. use it in your skill. It's basic foundational code that you don't have to write from scratch. You can focus on more unique aspects of your skill, while the skill component takes care of basic functionality. In this case, as an example, feedback elicitation. If you want to build a functionality of getting feedback from your end users, whether it's a rating or a feedback on your skill, you can use that component. The other scenario of list navigation, where you want to throw a bunch of options at your user and ask them to choose one, to pick one. For example, what's your favorite cheese? Parmesan, cheddar, mozzarella. Make a pick. So pieces of functionality directly plugged and played within your skill code is what skill components is about. It went into we released it in developer preview at Alexa Live, and hoping to get some of you sign up. I'll drop the link to the interest form there in the chat, and we're looking to get feedback. So those are two new things, Jeff. It's the tutorial, the ACDL tutorial, where we've heard feedback, built that deep dive on the flight search scenario, and then these skill components, which is, we're just getting started, to be very honest, on skill components. I can just say there's more to come. We're building like a portfolio, a set of, these reusable components that people can plug and play, and hopefully that makes the journey on Alexa Conversations, better, faster, and easier for our developer community. So those are two main things on the AC side.
Very much. I mean, as we think about building any kind of voice experience, there's always commonalities that a lot of these things have. And for us to be able to provide that capability without having a developer forced to go through the process of thinking it through and how is it going to work and what do I need to do to accomplish that, just to be able to say, yeah, I just want this component and it'll solve all those problems for me. This is the right way, right? This is what we should be doing for our developers. It's great.
Yep.
All right, the other big one, APL. I know we had a bunch of new introductions around APL, so I'd love to let you run on that for a little bit.
Yeah, totally. There was a lot of excitement. I was monitoring the chat in the breakout session for APL, and there was a lot of enthusiasm for a whole bunch of features that we announced as part of that breakout session. So if I were to think a little, I were to zoom out, essentially the APL announcements were in two big camps. So in one bucket, we had all the tooling enhancements, and the other bucket was best practice and guidance. So on the tooling enhancements, we announced, the first one, the multimodal response builder, which essentially makes it very easy and fast for developers to build a visual response. They're ready templates. There are 12 of these visual templates that developers can pick from within the dev console experience and start building on it and even customize it. In fact, there's a very interesting stat that says that you can from zero to building a visual response, you can do it in less than 15 minutes. So it's very easy, streamlined, guided walkthrough within the dev console experience, enables you to get to jumpstart very, very quickly. I'm proactively addressing one question that I'm sure people may have on their minds. We have the APL authoring tool, and now we have the multimodal response builder. How should I think about these two things that essentially serve the same purpose, which is building a visual response? So the guidance is that if you are just getting started, you have very little prior knowledge on APL code, then start with the multimodal response builder. You've got these ready to use templates, jumpstart your way and make simple tweaks, simple customizations. If you're an advanced APL developer, you're already deep into APL, you understand the code, you want to build from scratch, go ahead and use the APL authoring tool and make, as much customization as you like. So those are the two different, use cases of whether you would use the multimodal response builder or the APL authoring tool. So that was the multimodal response builder, which was on the tooling side. The other cool feature that we talked about in the same breakout session was Code Sandbox. And I have to say this, that when the speaker, Kai, who was talking about Code Sandbox, real time, we were getting so many comments in the chat about this is the coolest new thing. And it is, because it's almost like having a code editor embedded within the technical documentation page, which is super cool because you can, edit the code samples, which are typically static. But in the case of Code Sandbox, you can go in, edit your code, and real time side by side see in the graphic editor what happens. So you don't have to leave your technical documentation, go into developer console, try out a code and see what happens. You can do it right here within the Tech Talks experience. So it's very cool. It's easy. It's simple, but it's the simple thing that have the more wow. So Code Sandbox was another cool thing on the tooling side, besides the multimodal response builder. The other bucket of announcements on APL, as I said, were all on the guidance and the best practice side. So we launched 2 new guides. One is the APL best practice guide for developers, and the second one is the APL accessibility guide. The first one, the APL best practice guide, we heard developers say, hey, I don't know how to build these, high performing experiences. How do I manage my APL documents? What is the best practice? What is the Amazon point of view of doing this the right way? So we captured all the best practices of how you should arrange your APL projects, how you should configure your document library into the best practices guide. So, these are things we've learned from experience, from other skills, and that's how we recommend you adopt and build high performing visual experiences in your skills. That's the first guide. The other guide is the accessibility guide. We have a number of our users in the community who have visual impairments, and developers often need some best practice guidance on how do I incorporate features in my skill so that I can serve this community of visually impaired individuals. So there's guidance around gestures, how you can use voice to build the responses within your skills. So that's the accessibility guide. Both are available on the Tech Talks platform, so you can start digging it today. So those were essentially, in short, the APL announcements, Jeff.
Awesome. No, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that I noticed we have a couple of our APL folks that have shown up here. Like I know Alexander Martin is here in the chat now, and a few other APL folks. So I'm sure they are as excited as you seem to be about some of these new announcements and features. It's very cool. I appear to be getting, I don't know if I'm getting kicked out or just losing this space. So it's going to get a little noisier here. You probably hear some background noise now that I didn't have earlier. But hopefully we won't just have people wandering into the background. We'll see how this goes. It's the price I pay for trying to find a quiet place in a conference. Just a side note before we get wrapped up here, I want to remind everybody, if you have questions about integrating Amazon Pay into your Alexa skills, we actually have a person coming from the Amazon Pay team, Tony, is going to be joining us next week. And so if you have questions about Amazon Pay, or maybe just curious about how to use it in your skills, Tony's going to be joining us next week, and we'll be able to get all your questions answered, or at least understood, and then we'll do our best to answer them as we can dig a little deeper. There are a couple of other questions. Winghaven has a tough one for you, Pratibha. So just I'm sure we don't have a great answer for this, but it's fair to ask it anyway. Is there any guidance on when the developer console will support ACDL, Alexa Conversations, descriptive language based conversational skills, so we can better leverage some of these new tools that you just described? And you are muted, Pratibha, sorry.
Sorry about that, Jeff. I don't have a ready answer for that, but I can certainly take it back to the team and come back.
No, that would be great. Thank you. We're trying to be much better with our folks about providing follow-up. So I know you have access to the spreadsheet. We're keeping track of this stuff, and we'll get an answer for folks as quickly as we can. This one is actually for you, Sanjeev, and you are on mute, so I just want to give you that heads up. Does the Alexa Routines Kit actions include smart home actions such as lights? He only saw announcement, date, time, weather, news, skill launch, and custom tasks. And he was just, I guess the question is, are there limitations to what Alexa Routines Kit can do?
Yeah, I mean, there are, I think there are 4 triggers and 7 actions. So he's listed the 7 actions here. I will check with the team anyway to see if the smart home actions such as lights are included. I think they are excluded because they are not part of the 7 actions that are available. But I can get back to you.
Okay.
My hunch is no.
That's great. And then we have a couple of other feedback, future-looking, when is this stuff coming kind of questions. Well, actually, before I get to those, let me ask Bondad's question, which was, we talked about, and this caught his interest quite heavily, a unified developer experience across Alexa Conversations and the interaction model. And it was kind of a teaser announcement, but he was curious if there's anything else we can share. I don't know who wants to take that one.
Yeah, I don't know if we have anything more to say at this point in time, Jeff. I don't know, Helen, if you've been closer to this, but there's more to come for sure. We're equally excited about Unified DX and what it means for developer productivity. But I don't think we have additional information to share right now.
Okay, that's great. Hawk 2000's question, he's on Twitch, says, how about the send to phone functionality that we announced last year? Is there any update or information about that?
So this year, as part of the keynote, we announced the Alexa for Apps SDK. And we don't have an update on the send to phone, but the Alexa for Apps SDK is again, enhancing your mobile experiences by adding voice for certain use cases like search, navigation. So I do encourage folks to check that out. And I can take the question back to the team on the send to phone feature, Jeff. But I do encourage folks to check out Alexa for Apps.
Perfect. Yeah, Alexa for Apps is very cool. Another feedback one, and this is probably just feedback to go back. I don't know that we have to have a response to this. But Hubuma on Twitch says, I'm eager to use ACDL with Alexa hosted skills. And unless I'm mistaken, ACDL is only an option for Lambda hosted skills. I think he's correct on that. But I want to make sure that we provide that feedback back to our team as well, that this is something that people are asking for. And then Dana Voice said, is there a link to the docs for the Alexa routines kit that I missed? It looks like the folks in the chat have already helped with that one, so that's perfect. Alan, you just said, wait, for certain use cases. I want to make sure that I know the context. Oh, Alexa for apps. So can you clarify on that? Alan is a passionate individual that cares very deeply about some of these things. Can we be more specific about what certain use cases means with regards to Alexa for apps?
Yeah, so Alan, I wouldn't, stick to the features. I just gave it as an example. Know that Alexa for Apps SDK was a pre-announcement in the keynote. And as you would know with pre-announcements, we're in the weeds of developing the product. It's going to evolve. So yes, right now it is search and navigation within your phone apps, but tomorrow it may evolve into something else. So just clarifying that it is a pre-announcement, so there is more to come.
Perfect. All right, I think for the most part I have tapped out everything, and we have 3 minutes left. So I just want to take a quick moment. Sanjeev, Helen, Pratibha, I want to thank all three of you for being here today, and certainly for everybody that's had this has been a fantastic set of questions and discussions here on chat. So I definitely want to thank everybody for your participation. Before we wrap up, don't forget, you can still tune in to all of the Alexa Live content. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, you can still go to the same place where you registered to watch all of that content, all available on demand. So if you missed a keynote or you missed a breakout session that you really wanted to see, all of that stuff is still available for you to tune in and watch it on your own time. As I mentioned, next week we'll have someone here from Amazon Pay, so please bring your questions about that. And I'm trying to think if I have anything else very big for right now. Other than the fact that Alexa Live happened and the world shifted and we have all these new announcements, I don't think that I have anything else big to cover right now. So I think we'll wrap things up like that. So again, Sanjeev, Helen, Pratibha, thank you guys so much for being here. Hopefully we'll get you back again soon. Maybe not all three at the same time. Maybe we'll find an opportunity for each of you to come on your own. But I think as we close out here, Helen, it feels like you're so close to being able to share a pet with us. And I feel like you're doing your best. Oh my goodness, that's perfect. What is your dog's name?
My dog. Her name is Kuma. It means bear in Japanese.
Perfect. Well,
Should
I'm glad
sleeping
Kuma got
behind
to join
me.
us here. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We will see you all again next week. I think I might actually be in my house next week, which would be mind blowing. So with that, we're going to sign off for now. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.